thank you for allowing us in here today. It is, as someone who appreciates the art of photography, it's just neat to be in this space. I feel like this is a place where a lot of creativity happens. Even if you took the picture somewhere else and brought it here, still, that's only part of the process.
I hope so.
Yeah. But I'm curious how you first fell in love. Tell me how you first fell in love with photography as an art form.
Well, as a child, my family pictures, my mother and took photographs, and not in a professional way, but just as a young mother herself with a family. And seeing those family pictures, and also family pictures of my mother and father when they were children or growing up in their own families, I thought it was like a miracle to see what my mother looked like when she was 3 years old. And what my father was one of 4 brothers. And so to see what he and his, actually 3 brothers, 4 sisters and 3 brothers, but to see what they looked like growing up, because I knew them all so well as aunts and uncles. So to see them as children and where they spent the summers and how they lived their lives, I mean, it just seemed like a miracle. So that's when I fell in love with photography. And then the second aspect of it is we got a U.S. camera every year, which was a book of the very best news photography of the year. And so to see what was happening in the world, although I didn't know what was happening in the world, I lived in a little country town, but to see this wider world of children in Italy, of the war in Germany, of what was happening in the Pacific, I mean, that really made it. I mean, I was already older, and the books were maybe 10 years old by the time I was looking at those. But to see what the war in the Pacific was like, what D-Day looked like, made a huge impression on me.
I imagine too, you know, much like when you look back at a National Geographic, you're getting these stories, right?
Yes.
But you're also seeing some of the best examples of how they can be captured. I mean, in the gritty reality, but the art as well. I mean, I imagine that was a pretty big influence on you.
Huge influence. Yes, and it was interesting that you say that. That's a very good question, because I always was looking at the best. I was never looking at rinky-dink photographers. I was looking at Cartier-Bresson. I was looking at Robert Capa. I was looking at all of the very, very, Richard Avedon, Cecil Beaton, all the best photographers. And it does have an influence on you, because that's who you sort of challenge yourself with. And I didn't think I would be a photographer. I thought, well, you have to know about f-stops and shutter speeds, and you have to know the physics of, and also the chemistry of photography, which I knew nothing about. And I wasn't around a photographer, so it wasn't that I could see, oh, this is what happens when you go into the darkroom. It was all from these fantastic images that I was seeing from Life magazine to U.S. Camera to Holiday magazine, where Slim Aarons, the great photographer, who photographed the good life, as he said, beautiful people doing beautiful things in beautiful places.
But I imagine that's part of the challenge and the stimulation of that art form. Is, you mentioned, you know, you didn't understand f-stops and the chemistry behind it, but that's some of the fun of being able to add, you know, figuring out, you know, how do I capture motion in a way that conveys the scene I'm seeing or tells the story I want to tell. You know, and it's so much more than just composition. It is all those other aspects that go into it. That had to be a fun challenge, I would assume.
Yeah, and I had a very good background in college in painting, because I was a painting major, a studio art major, and so I knew about composition and color and form. And so when I then began to seriously address photography, I knew what made a good image. And that was a big step forward, because I wasn't trying to figure out, oh, the horizon line or the triangular. The graphic impact of a photograph I understood immediately from my work in painting.
So you had this painting work though, but would you say you were largely self-taught when it came to photography?
Completely,
yeah.
Completely self-taught. But I had the influence of working for Richard Avedon, which was a huge influence. And it wasn't about, again, he didn't really, we never spoke about f-stops and shutter speeds, but we talked about the content, what makes a strong picture. And it's still what makes a strong picture is the intelligence behind the picture, the intelligence of the photographer, and the point of view of the photographer, the impulse of the photographer. That's all. That's what makes a strong picture. So I don't care if a picture's in focus or out of focus or it's color or black and white. What impresses me is a photograph that can hold the wall. That when you see it, you think, oh boy, I never saw that before. Oh, that's a great approach to that subject. Or that's something, oh, I wish I took that.
I imagine you look back at some pictures, some of your favorites you've taken over the years. You've got them, around this room. Obviously, you've got family pictures. You've got, Western photography. You've got color, black and white. I imagine some of your favorites, you find something new each time you look at it.
I hope I do.
Yeah.
I think what the other aspect about photography, which drew me right in the very beginning, was the fact that photography can stop time. So you look at a photograph and you think, oh, that's what was happening. That's the instant that that happened. That's the expression on the person's face. Or even something so obvious as the way the person is dressed or where the person is. So that element of stopping time and the element of the very large element of the passage of time, which we all cope with. Photography allows one to hold on to what's important in one's life.
I mean, to me though, we're in a world where we all have high-def cameras in our pocket that we carry around with us. We have these amazing 4K screens. We've got, unreal images around us, visuals around us everywhere. And yet still there's magic in a photo, in a still photo. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think if you see that, it's because of what the photographer has brought to it. It's that particular frame, that particular image, as opposed to the maybe 32 others on the camera. So, and it's the eye of the photographer, the intelligence, it's the content that makes a picture strong. So I myself am not so interested in the art of photography as Ansel Adams practiced it, because that's about the beauty of the image, the beauty of the print itself. So that doesn't, I can respect it and I could admire it, but it doesn't interest me. What interests me is what Cartier-Bresson called the decisive moment. And there is that. There is, for instance, I photographed the great Mexican writer, Carlos Fuentes, in Mexico City. And he was famously handsome. And when I met him at his house, he had on a gray flannel pants and a gray sweater and white shirt, and he had gray hair. Very, very appealing looking in every way. Distinguished. He looked like what you think, oh, this is what a great Latin American writer would look like. And he did look like that. And so as I was photographing him, I didn't get anything that someone else could have gotten just as easily as I, and many photographers had already photographed him that way. I bent down to change film. I was shooting 2.25, real film, 2.25 in a Hasselblad, and so I bent down to change the film. And when I looked up, he was standing in a doorway. He had this heartbreaking expression on his face, and I immediately knew that was the picture. And so I quickly was able to get that, and it was just one frame. Then he went back to giving what I call, and I don't mean this in a pejorative way, what I call the picture face. So people who have been photographed a lot know how to be photographed, and they have what they feel they want it to show. But this was something, this expression on Carlos Fuentes' face was so, as I said, heartbreaking and full of emotion. And that was, no one has this picture of him. And I feel very lucky. I always feel when I get something like that it's a gift. It's a gift from the subject. They may not know they're giving it, but when I get it, I know it's a gift.
Well, you've got this convergence too between the moment happening and you happening to be there.
Yeah.
You got the film in, you press the shutter at the right moment, and everything worked out. You know, it's this.
That's
this
right.
Moment, and you can't repeat it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you can't. The other thing that I learned, I had a very good friend, an older woman who had come from the Northeast, and she went out to Arizona when she was a young woman, and she began doing rodeo pictures. And her name was Louise Serper. And I was just knocked out by these pictures because I had photographed quite a bit at rodeos. It's hard to get a good picture. And I could not believe it. Every single image in her collection, the book that she published, was great. And I said, Louise, how did you do it? And she said, I was there. And that's the other thing, you have to be there. So I was there photographing Carlos Fuentes. I was working through these very ho-hum pictures, but I was also there for the moment when all that washed away from his face, and there was this very thoughtful moment that, and he died within 2 weeks of that. So
wow.
I mean, I feel it's a kind of chronicle of a death foretold, that image of him.
You mentioned earlier, you know, kind of that love of photography being instilled when you were younger in the family photos, and then you got the opportunity to take that up yourself as a mom. How much of that process for you was artistic, and how much of it was trying to grab some of those moments so that you could have them later on down the road?
Yes. Well, I think the boys were very, very good. I think they must have been so impatient with me trying to get the artistic element into the picture. But the other thing is, when you're working with, I mean, in their case, they were very lively and very always doing, I mean, I couldn't miss. I mean, how could I not take good pictures? They were so great. And I felt lucky. I wish I hadn't been so tired for so many years, because there was a lot, a household and 3 boys and meals and my husband and our life. And I always wish I wasn't so drained at the end of the day, because there were opportunities for pictures all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, some of my favorite pictures when my kids are sleeping.
Yeah,
The best part about that is
they
don't fight back.
Right.
I mean, do you think at all that the chance do you think at all the fact that they had mom around taking pictures on a regular basis, that prepared them for a life where they get their pictures taken on a pretty regular basis?
Right. I'm not sure about that. I think that they seemed to me to be very comfortable in front of the camera right from the beginning. So maybe it did help them. I hope it helped them. I'm not sure. I won't be so. I don't know that it did, but.
Well, probably didn't hurt.
Yeah, that's true.
How many pictures do you think you've taken in your lifetime?
Oh, no, I can't even begin. I mean millions.
The number has to be astronomical.
Yeah.
Is there one that got away? Is there one picture you think, oh, I was right there. I was so close. It's.
Yeah, you think about one. I was doing an assignment for Greyhound bus lines, and I was in a bus station, I think in Kansas City, and it was the night, late at night, and there was a young woman who looked very down on her luck, and she had been sitting there all afternoon, and she missed the one bus that was going to take her to wherever she was going. And so she went in to speak to the manager of the bus station, and I happened to be in there at the time. And she had a wonderful face. I mean, she looked very much as if she came out of a Dorothea Lange Farm Security Administration period of time. And I knew that she was going to, she was very upset, and I knew she was going to cry. And so I thought, but I just couldn't take the picture. I just felt it was be intrusive, and so I didn't photograph. So she did cry, and I didn't take the picture, and but I wish I had now.
Feels like it's caught in your mind's eye, right?
So those kinds of things happen, that you see something which would be a great picture, and you're not quick enough, or you're thinking, oh, it's not going to be, I'm going to have a better luck, 10 minutes from now. I think that's why you always have to be ready, and you have to be, and the more you do it, the quicker you are to see what's a good picture, what will be an interesting, strong image.
Is there when you look at the range of subject matter you've covered over the years, the range of styles that you've been able to portray, is there a subject or a method that you get especially excited about now? Like, oh, I get to shoot this, or I get to shoot this way. Is there something that really, kind of gets your blood racing?
I always am interested in photographing people. That's what I feel my strength is. And I'm always excited about it. You think, well, it's just a person this person isn't famous, this person isn't, the photograph isn't going to do something for my career to have a photograph of this group, but I'm interested in it. I always like it, and I get excited by it. It's a tremendous jolt of energy for me to photograph almost any people. So I'm not so interested in landscapes, and so I just see the beautiful sunset or the amazing, vast grasslands of Wyoming, and it's beautiful, and I can appreciate it, but it doesn't. It's not like photographing a person.
So it's funny because I'm the opposite. So for me, the people, it's tiring. It's like especially if it's multiple people, because then it's. I think if you're what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of documentary style, that's one thing because you're just capturing it.
Yeah.
If it's any kind of posing, that is painful for me. But if people know you know how to shoot, they're always asking, you get tasked to be the one to take the pictures.
And you sort of get, what kicks in for me, I notice this is, I can be kind of dragging around and thinking, oh, okay, I said I'd be there at 2 to shoot this, and I was thinking, what am I going to get here? And then all of a sudden, it kicks in for me. It's just like a jolt of adrenaline. So. And then, of course, I have loved working on the movie sets that I've worked on, because your one is around enormously talented people, the cinematographers, the costumers, the lighting people. And they are great to be around. They're hardworking, they're always the best at what they do, and if they aren't, they'll not be on the next movie. They're gone.
Now, are these your son's movie sets that you've been on?
Yes, and I've been on other movie sets too.
That's an interesting juxtaposition of your art and your career and their career as well, and your relationship, obviously. And I almost think too, the juxtaposition when you take a picture on a movie set, you're not taking the picture that people are going to see through the lens on the big screen.
Exactly.
You're taking that mix of what happens behind the scenes and on screen as well. And what's that experience like for you, with that opportunity to be able to be there and to provide that perspective?
Well, I think it's really exciting, and I think if you just take the cinematographers, for instance, imagine the pressure on them. Say they're American and they're shooting in Europe, and so that means all of that has to be taken into account. And then the money that's involved, and then the light and the time of day, and the storms coming, or interior shots where it's too crowded and too dark, and all of that. They're just amazing at what they do, and I have the greatest respect for that. And so I hope that the pictures that I've taken on sets, I'm able to show some of the challenges and the responses of these very talented people to the challenges that they have, minute by minute.
I feel like too, you're telling multiple storylines, because you have the story that's playing out on the screen,
yes,
right? And we've got these characters.
Yes.
You've got the actors playing those characters,
yes,
and I think some of the cool, behind the scenes photography I've seen before is when you're seeing Charlton Heston, and
yes,
you're knowing who he is, and also
yes,
the character he's playing,
yes,
and there's that convergence.
yeah,
And then you've got a lighting guy or a grip or whatever,
yeah,
and they've got their role to play in it. There's a lot going on.
Yes. I'm never bored on a movie set because, people say, oh, nothing happens on a movie set. They do the same thing over and over, same scene over and over. But for me, I mean, if I've photographed what's in front of me, I just turn this way and there's something else going on, or walk, half a block or half a quarter of a mile in another direction and there's more going on. It's just, it's a very rich, it's a fantastic place to be as a photographer.
How much extra joy do you get out of shooting a movie set or shooting pictures of your sons now? That extra little bit of pride, I would imagine, when you get to be there and get to photograph them doing what they love to do. As a mom, that's got to be pretty special.
Well, it's very hard because I don't want to be in their eye line. And also, movie sets move fast. I cannot tell you. I'll be photographing something and then all of a sudden it stops and I'm actually in the eye line of the cinematographer. And because what happens is I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. And you really have to be aware of all the other things that are going. It's like being around, a racetrack where you could get kicked by a horse any day. Because there's so much going on a movie set that and I think when my own sons are making movies, that first of all, I feel so grateful to them that they've allowed me to, and it is, they're allowing me to do it because it's much easier for them not to have me there. But they are very respectful of my interests and willing to help. Again, that's a gift. And I have to be very, very careful. So in a way, it's more pressure on me because I really don't want to make them uncomfortable.
I imagine too, on top of all this, you've got the unique position of being a mom who is sharing not one, not two, but three of her sons with the world in a way. I don't even know how you would describe what that experience is like, but does it bring you extra joy? Are there times when you wish you had them all to yourselves? How would you describe
Well, I
that
wish
experience?
they all lived here with me. So that is one thing. No, you know what? I'm so happy that they're working with good people, with people who are enormously creative, enormously talented, very intelligent, and the range of projects that they're getting to work on. That's great. How often do you get to do something like as each of them are getting to do? And I think I feel very happy for them. I don't say it's anything of me, it's them. They have something that they're bringing, that they've brought to their careers. And so I'm glad that they're able to work with such good people.
Have you become a bigger fan of the art of cinema because of your son's
Yes,
work?
I have. I'm very, very, as I said earlier, very, very impressed by the challenge, how each person, whether it's wardrobe, hair and makeup, lighting, how they meet the incredible challenges of making a movie under enormous pressure. Pressure from the director, from the producers, from the weather itself. It's a tough, tough business, but so exciting. And also how thrilling it is to see a completed movie, because when I've been on movie sets, I might have seen parts of, and sometimes many parts of a movie. And I still think, I don't read the script, so I don't know how it's all going to fit together. And then I think, oh gosh, I was there for almost every scene, and isn't it amazing? I had no idea that this is what, it always seems fantastic to me.
Oh, it's magical.
Magical.
It really is, yeah. When you look at the different subject matter that you covered over the years, and like I said, I'm someone who's really into landscapes and urban pictures for urban photography, but is there a subject that's kind of on the bucket list for you to capture? Is there something out there that you're like, I want to tackle this next, I really am inspired to go pursue?
Well, I was thinking about being in India when they made the Darjeeling Limited. And there's a camel fair that happens, I think, in February, where thousands of camels and camel trainers or owners and dealers go. And I thought, well, I'd love to see that. Not so much to photograph it, but I would, of course, photograph it. But I'd love to go and see that. I'd also like to go to Mongolia and see the Mongolian horsemen who have those eagles. They hunt with falcons or eagles on their arm. And I think that those have been, the few pictures I've seen of that have been amazingly strong pictures. I wish I'd take, I think they've already been done, but I still would like to see it. And then I think I'd like to do a book of, do two books. One, behind the scenes of making movies. I need to have that as a book. And then I also would like to do the life of a family, what a family life, what this family's life has been.
I get the sense from you, I mean, you're at a point in your career where you have taken the number of pictures you mentioned before. I get the sense that your hunger and your appetite is as great maybe as it ever has been?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm always stunned when someone says, "Are you still taking pictures?" I feel like saying, "What?" I mean, what else would I be doing? You know, and I feel lucky to be strong and energetic and hopeful. And I think there are two things that you need to be a creative person, whether it's a writer or maybe an actor, too, is you need hope and you need energy. And I feel I have both. So.
You know, the first movie they made that people got a chance to see, because I don't know what they did, you know, goofing off as high school kids,
Yeah.
but let's talk about Bottle Rocket. You first find out that, you know, you send your kids off to school, you've got these hopes. I don't know, you know, if you thought they were going to be accountants or, you know, doctors or lawyers or whatever, but you find out, "Hey, Mom, we're making this movie." What's the response?
Well, first of all, as a parent, you want a doctor or lawyer. And, well, I knew maybe that wasn't going to happen, so I thought, well, maybe a forest ranger. I thought that would be great to have a forest ranger, 3 forest rangers. And when they said they were making a movie, I thought, oh, we didn't know anyone who made a movie or anyone in the movie business. And it seemed like a completely outlandish idea. And then they did make a short, and the short was 13 minutes long, and they showed it on the laundry room wall because that was white with a sheet. And seeing that 13-minute short was all kind of jumpy, and the sheet wasn't even flat.
Right.
It was kind of wavy like that. I thought, gosh, this is good, because I had seen one other young student's film, and he was a very good student, and he was very much admired. He was older than my boys, but he very much admired. And so I thought, well, let me see how this compares with that. It was so much better than his movie that I just couldn't believe how good it was. But it was because each of the boys read a lot when they were growing up, and they looked at things a lot, and they were aware in a way that I hadn't realized, so that they had much more visual sophistication, and they also had, because of reading a lot, they knew what was good, what sounded good, so it was just really good. And I, knowing nothing about movies, was very impressed.
I mean, it almost, in a way, it sounds like it mirrors some of your own experience, though. You've got these photography books and magazines that you're around as a child, and they kind of influence your eye, your sense of style, composition, what you like, what you don't. You're kind of honing your taste without realizing it.
Exactly.
You know, maybe they were as well. Maybe, you know, compositionally, and maybe from a narrative perspective, you know, the books they read, the photography they're around.
Yes.
I mean, maybe that did, you know, play
And
a
the
role.
people they were around.
Right, creating a sensibility
yes.
that some random 22-year-old kid wouldn't have had.
That's exactly right. And so when I thought they aren't paying attention, they actually were absorbing it. So they were, then that's a very good word, honing their eye and their ear to what sounded good, what made good dialogue. They were responsive to words.
And so was there a moment, because you see this first film and you think, okay, there's some goods here, but was there a moment between that and, okay, this can actually be a career? Because someone being good and someone being successful are two very different things.
Well, I remember Owen asked me to come down and take some pictures for the short that they made of Bottle Rocket, which was going to go, they were going to send it to Sundance. And so I go down and I'm ready with my cameras, and there were actors in the movie that were standing in the doorway of a bay, where a truck would back up and unload stuff. So I said, well, you stand here, and you stand there, and you stand there, and you sit there. And I said, sit like this, so that you fit into the frame. And I heard Owen walk up to the man that I had suggested, or told actually, to sit that way. He said, don't sit like that, it's so 60s. I thought, oh no, I'm way out of my league here. And so I kept quiet after that, because I thought, they're onto something. That's the other thing, you can see talent. Once, well, I have to say, once it was pointed out to me, I could see it, that I mean, the idea that somebody would say, it still makes me smile to think that you could say, well, that's a 60s way to be sitting. It seemed very visually advanced.
I am curious, given your own adventures with your career, and then you combine the kind of world that your sons, I'm sure, with just by being at events and shoots with them, is there a big pinch me moment for you? Anybody you get to interact with or meet that really caught you off guard, or you were starstruck by, or maybe you were a big fan of, and you're like, I can't believe I got to be in this moment? Any memories like that stand out for you? I mean, you mentioned being on the film sets already, but I think sometimes when you do this kind of work, you just have adventures that the younger version of you would just have never dreamed of.
Well, one time we were on a set, and I think it was in England, and Owen was making a movie with Liam Neeson. And I had seen, of course, Schindler's List and been so impressed by Liam Neeson. And he's Irish, and that in itself, that combination of having done that film with such great success as an actor, and then the fact that Ireland produces very good actors and has writers as well. And so I was thinking that Liam Neeson is sort of a combination of that. So Owen said, would you like to meet Liam? I said, oh yeah, I'd love to meet him. And so we walk across the set, and it was a very big set with, I don't know, lots of beams and things that you had to duck under. And finally we turn a corner, and there's Liam Neeson. And I just couldn't believe it. He was leaning back against a table, and his legs were out like this, and he was kind of leaning like that. And Owen said, Liam, this is my mother, Laura. And he said, hi, Laura. And so the Irish accent and the voice, and then this incredible, he's very big. I mean, I couldn't say a word. And afterwards, Owen said, Mom, what was wrong with you? You were just like a nincompoop. And I said, I couldn't think of what to say. I couldn't think of anything to say. I was literally starstruck.